Self-talk to me would be all about how your internal dialogue is happening within yourself, how you're actually speaking to yourself. And it's something I'm a very, very big believer in.
You may not be aware of the fact that you talk to yourself all the time. We all do. How we talk to ourselves makes a huge difference in our lives, either negatively or positively. The question to ask yourself is whether your inner voice is positive and friendly, or your enemy, a constant inner critic. Our unconscious mind is impacted by the words we say in the exact same way when people speak to us. So how we talk to ourselves and how we interpret those conversations can be a very powerful tool. Self-talk is a tremendous resource. It can help us get back control, calm a situation, and have you reevaluate what is being said to you or what you are reading. You can become the master of your own mind and improve your life tenfold. Our thoughts influence our emotions, which in turn influence our behaviours and eventually affects us physically. It can be hard to stay positive all the time, but those of us who are positive thinkers are more likely to be optimistic, have greater self-esteem, confidence, and a far better chance at success. Being positive has a knock-on effect. It is contagious, and just like a domino effect, it lights up friends, family, and work colleagues.
I mean, if I'm going to be giving myself negativity and feeding it continually, it's like a monster. It just starts to grow throughout the day. For me, positive thought and taking something and taking it and flipping it on its head is so vital. I do it in everything I've done. I wasn't always good at it. It was something I was not very good at, to be honest. And I spent my time trying to figure out why such and such a person was saying such and such a thing and why I read something and it meant a completely different thing. And then when I took a step back and talked to myself almost in third person, I suddenly realised, well, hey, this isn't as bad as it seems at all.
Most people aren't even aware of how much they argue with themselves. The constant bickering, it's my fault, I'm so bad at that, and they deny themselves the opportunity to be their best version. The big question that is often played on loop is, what if? There are those of us who believe that we must punish ourselves to improve or achieve anything. There's a whole imposter syndrome and doesn't end with us just everyday folk, but with the famous too. How I'd employ self-talk to my everyday life would be, I'd be a big believer in winning your morning and getting your thought process right. So first thing I'll do is I'll avoid getting on social media, or avoid going to emails, or avoid trying to be in contact with anybody just for the first few minutes of my day. So I'll try and shake my body out, do some breathing exercises, ground myself, and basically then fill my mind with good positive self-talk. So letting myself know that today is going to be a good day, today is going to be a great day, because it's very easy to let the self-negative chatter get in and tell you that, oh, today's going to be another really bad day. So what I try and do is fuel my mind with good self affirmations, so I can actually create my own goodness in my day and create a good self-talk pattern.
Okay, so for me, it's quite a pattern I have, and I do it quite regularly. If I find myself in a situation where I'm on loop, and that's what happens in your mind, it starts to loop and constantly loop, and things are going around your head in circles. You're playing with words, you're playing with ideas and things that people have said. What I try to do is I try to get it onto a piece of paper, and I kind of look at it and I step back a small bit and decide, okay, what's really been said here? I know it might sound a little bit dramatic, but it works. It works for me, and it's something I do. I know other people who will put something on their hand, like a rubber band, and every time they're a little bit confused or they feel that little emotion side of them rising, they'll flick the band in their hand. These are all little nuggets that really work really well for people. And for me, it's one of the areas that I find that has helped me to ground myself and helped me to stay positive about what it is. But I'll also look at something and I'll say, well, okay, how can I take this negative situation and turn it into something positive? How can I flip it on its head? How can I make it work for me? And even though, like, look at the current situation as we stand with the coronavirus and so on and so forth. We're all stuck indoors, we're all working from home, we're all trying to make the best of a bad situation. But given those situations, you get to spend more time with family, You get to talk and do things that you didn't really do. Sometimes it's a case of actually having to communicate with people that you don't normally communicate with on a daily basis. You almost pass each other through the door. One's going in, one's going out. But you have to be really creative. It brings us back to almost a childhood state and more of a creative state, where you now have to learn to do things where I suppose they weren't as natural before. Now they are starting to become natural. You can't get out and exercise like you used to, so you've got to be creative. You exercise indoors, and so on and so forth. So life has a funny way of looking at the negative and positive, and you have to decide which part of it you want to be a part of, either the negative or the positive. For me, it's about being the positive. Hi, I'm Jason Kenny.
And I'm Declan Dorr from KD Corporate Wellness, and we're very grateful to be here with you today to talk about self-talk and the power of your own self-talk, and give you some tips, tools and techniques of how we utilise self-talk in our day.
Yeah, for us, self-talk is a very powerful tool, and it's something, as Declan has said, we use it on a regular basis every single day. Declan, you have quite a powerful story. I mean, I think it's only fair that you start. I'm sorry about that now, but it's going to happen. But yeah, I think it's a nice one, just to kind of let people know how you had to manage with self-talk. Really was one of the most powerful tools. You had to kind of get back that recovery and back to your state of good health.
Yeah, I suppose I started to learn and realise that self-talk was a very, very important thing for my own recovery. I was a number of years ago, I ended up fracturing my skull, shattered my temporal bone, and ended up being told I'll probably never again walk, talk, or get the use of the right side of my face back. And that really did lead me in the journey of I had to go within my own self and get that self-belief that I was going to make a full recovery, because if I didn't believe it myself, and if I didn't give myself good self-talk, I wouldn't be here today talking to you and giving people advice on how to, overcome the negative self-chatter, because you've got two voices in your mind. You've got the positive voice that will lift you up and give you all the encouragement that you need and require to move forward, or you'll have, which I had for a number of years and still have today, that self-talk of negative chatter, where you're just going to go, oh, I can't do this, or what if this happened, or what if this person didn't like me, or I might be on social media and see on social media that a person didn't like my post, or they gave me a thumbs down, or whatever it might be. And then that self-chatter and self-talk would lead to negativity. So for me, I start to reprogram myself when it comes to self-talk, and that's something myself and Jason are very, very passionate about when it comes to the whole process of giving people the tools, techniques and processes of how to get over the negative self-chat that goes on in the voice. And Jason himself, I know, has got a very powerful story too, because if you look at both of our pictures, my before and after picture of where I've come from, and you see Jason's before and after picture of where he came from, it's pretty powerful around your own story too.
Yeah, I suppose, for me it was all about life just became overwhelming with the amount of, work I was doing, with family commitments, trying everything and anything to be a part of everything and anything. And I suppose I became a yes man, and that's a dangerous thing to do. Sometimes you need to take back some time for yourself too, and I wasn't doing that. As a result, my health started to suffer a little bit because I wasn't able to give enough time for me as an individual. I was giving it to everyone else. And I ballooned up into a colossal weight, and you'll see that in the picture here. But our before and after pictures are definitely dramatic in that respect. But my self-talk was one thing I had to do with myself all the time, and it was one thing that brought me back. And as Declan says, you have to look at it from the point of view where a positive self-talk will really uplift you and give you those emotions back. But it's hard to stay on track all the time, so you need to put little things in place, little reminders for yourself all the time. And if you don't hold yourself accountable for that, you're going to end up in the same loop constantly over and over again. So for me, it was great. It was life-changing. I got my life back. I got down to the weight I wanted to be at. I ended up doing all sorts of things, from competing in world title shots for the men's physique, and beach body and all sorts of things, and it was great. And I did it at a later age in life that I didn't think I was going to be able to do it at it. And when people say something isn't achievable, that's a lie. You know, you decided it's achievable, and you, whatever you do, will do it. You know.
Yeah, and I think it's very important to, you know, do you ever go through a phase, or are you in a phase right now in your life where you find you're waking up in the morning and you're just being negative to yourself? Because if you start becoming negative to yourself, you're going to be negative to people around you then as well. And it's trying to develop those, like Jason just touched on there, developed tools and techniques for you that when you wake up in the morning, or if something happens to you during the day, or even in class, if your teacher starts to say something to you and you feel a little bit tired or lethargic or run down because of the statement even that someone might say, it could be a loved one, it could be a teacher, it could be your best friend. What do you do when someone says something that affects you negatively? Do you get into your own thought process and actually start to overthink it and go, oh my God, they're so right, and you start to actually blame yourself for all these things that might be going on in your life? That's where you try and look at what's going on and reframe it and come back and try and look at the positive rather than look at the negative. I think that's something that we love to teach people, is if you can look at anything that's going on in your life right now and kind of reframe it, instead of looking at it and going, oh, that's just so wrong, it's so bad, it's so hurtful, try and reframe it and go, okay, what good can come from this? What positive situation can come from this? Because if you can reframe that, you're going to start getting positive solutions, positive answers, and you're going to have positive self-talk rather than having the negative self-chatter.
Yeah, and the difficulty with negative thought, I mean, those thoughts start to feed into your emotions, and those emotions then become behaviours, which then become physical. So I mean, there's a massive loop here, and it starts to, so you have to decide whether you're going to be on the circle of life or the circle of destruction. You know, so if you have a positive thought, your emotions are risen, you feel good about yourself, then automatically your behaviours, everything changes about you, so you physically feel a whole lot different inside as well. When you smile, when you laugh, and that's all we do every day, all we do is smile and laugh, and I'm constantly slagging Declan, he's constantly slagging me, we're laughing, joking. You know what, sometimes you gotta laugh at yourself too a little and realise that, you know, we all have a little inner clown, and we all need to take advantage of that a small bit too, you know.
And we sure do have inner clowns, big time.
Yeah.
You know, even though we run our own businesses and, you know, we're talking to a lot of different people every single day, we always try and bring the joy and bring fun and bring laughter to our interactions and to our conversations. But when the serious conversations are needed, we do get serious in those conversations. But at the end, we try and bring a bit of humour, a bit of laughter, and try and bring that joy into the conversation, because it's so important. If you can be the catalyst to bringing joy into conversations, you make the decision, you make that choice that you want to be someone who brings joy, who brings happiness, who brings laughter to interactions, to communications, to interactions with people who are in your school or in your football team or in your whatever you're into. You make the decision to bring the joy into the interactions.
Yeah, no, that's powerful. And I think if you look at what we were saying even at the very start, it's that domino effect. You can become contagious, and to be contagious in a positive way, in a kind way, is massive. And the world needs that today. It really, truly does. Yeah,
big time. And what we'll do is we'll give you some little tips of what we do to bring, you know, I suppose this joy, this laughter, this, you know, enthusiasm into life, because we face challenges every single day in our lives. Without getting into the negative of it, we all face challenges, and I'm sure you're the same. Whether that's in your exams, whether that's in, you know, your personal life, whether that's in your sporting life, whatever it might be. But it's your moment to make the decision when you're in that negative place of what to do, what to say, and how to overcome it. So we're going to share some stuff that we do, and Jason's going to share some stuff now with you first, and then I'll come in and we'll kind of go over and back with stuff that we do together.
Yeah, I suppose something you have to be aware of is understand what it feels like, first of all, to feel the stress. Some people feel it in their chest, some people feel it in the back of their neck, in their eyes. You know, people can feel it in their knees, they can feel it in all sorts of ways. You've got to look at that. and you got to take a step back from that situation straight away. So remove yourself from that environment. That's the first thing I do. So number one is I remove myself from the environment and remove that stress factor just for a few seconds. It can be a very simple thing. It can be from the baby screaming and shouting and roaring, taking yourself out of the situation just for a few seconds, then going back and dealing with it. There's no point staying in a chaotic environment. You're not going to be able to deal with it. You can't get your thoughts clear and the mind is very, very fuzzled. Okay, it's the same situation in a rescue environment. It's the same situation in anything we do in life. When chaos is there and there's a multiple of people coming at you in all sorts of shapes and sizes, if you don't deal with that same situation, that one situation that's right in front of you right now, you ain't going to deal with any of them. So just deal with the first thing, move on to the next, and keep moving through it as you do. In Japanese, we call it randori. It's part of a martial arts training we do, and it really is true to life.
And I love that. And if you're in that situation, when you remove yourself, that is so powerful. Try not to stay in the situation if you can. And it doesn't mean running away from the situation, it just means removing. And once you've removed yourself, here's a key tip. Once you've removed yourself, try and take a deep breath. If you ever look at a gazelle and a lion, if you ever see a lion chasing a gazelle, Google this. It's fascinating what happens. When a lion is chasing a gazelle, the gazelle is running for its life, and the lion is running after because it needs to fuel itself, because it needs that food. So it's looking at the gazelle as food. So if you look at the video, or if you Google it, and see what happens to gazelle when he gets away, and hopefully gets away. What happens is the gazelle gets away, the lion is just panting, trying to grab its breath. The gazelle keeps running, looks back, and realizes he's got away. But if you look at what the gazelle does, when he realizes he's got away, he takes a breath, he stops, he pauses, and then he shakes. He shakes his body. Because what he's doing is he's shaking off the stress. Because he's in a really high state of stress, trying to run away and for his life. So if you think of it in this way for yourself, we're not in that situation where hopefully we're not running for our lives, but we are still creating that stress within our own bodies. So the key component is, like Jason just touched on, remove yourself from the situation. So you're removing yourself from the stress, and then just take a breath. And maybe you might want to do what the gazelle does and shake yourself off. Personally, I do this every single day if I find myself I'm after being on a stressful conversation on the telephone, or if I'm after having a stressful meeting, or even the woman I love in my life, which is my mother. My mother does press my stress buttons every so often, and Jason knows this. But what I do is, when that happens, I'll remove myself from the situation. I might just go to the toilet, say that I need to go to the toilet, but really I don't. What I do is I go, take a deep breath, release whatever stress is going on for me. I literally shake my body, take a deep breath, and then I reframe, get back into my positive self-talk, and put something positive into my mind and go, okay, now I'm going to go back and readdress my mother, readdress the business meeting, readdress whatever it might be in a positive way. Because once you remove yourself, you're also distancing yourself from that negativity. And I know Jason is very, very good at doing this stuff as well.
Yeah, physical. I love that. I suppose, so if you look at it so far, it's removing yourself from the environment. A super one, which is breathing. You got to keep breathing. If you stop breathing, I mean, it is what it is. You stop breathing. Okay, so and number 3 there, I think Declan's just hit on a key point, is physicality of what you need to do physically. It's really important, and for me that's probably a huge factor of what I'm into, and the amount of endorphins, the happy hormones, the release, the good fun factor. And it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to a gym, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to be part of an elite team or anything like that, or some sort of a club or organization. It can be something you can do and you can enjoy by kicking the ball around, by doing something, just getting out, going for a good long walk.
Some good music even.
Good music, dancing, jogging, running, whatever it is you want to do. I don't care, and it doesn't really matter to me. And when I talk to clients on a regular basis, I ask them what it is they're into rather than me telling them what they should do. Of course I'll guide them, and of course Declan guides people, but it's all about releasing those good hormones and replacing the negativity. Because you know what is nowadays, and I know you're aware of this and I'm aware of it, and we talk about it quite a lot, Dick, is the stressors that are in modern society today, the financial, the emotional, the physical stresses. You know, we never switch off. We're constantly turned on all the time, and that's the danger, is not being able to switch off. So we don't give ourselves enough love. There's no love for us, and I think that little bit of self-love, I think, is really important, which is something we'll cover again in the next videos.
And you just said something there even about love. If you think about love, right, you're looking at two grown-up men speaking and talking about the word love. I know for me, I've had my heart broken before. I don't know if you're the same or you've been in a situation, but I've been in a situation in my life where I've literally had my heart broken by the girl I thought I was gonna marry and build a family with, and you know, a home, the whole lot. And it was probably one of the toughest things I've ever been to. And my God, I was in a place where I did not want to be here. I really did not want to be in this world anymore. And thankfully I pulled myself through that. And if you're in that situation yourself at the moment where your heart might have been broken, or maybe your mother or your father or your granny or your granddad, whoever it might be, might have said something that really hurt you or affected you, express it, talk about it, write it down, release whatever that might be going on for you emotionally. Because Jason talked about it, it's going to have an effect physically on you as well, or there's something going to happen within your own body. Or I suppose hopefully gift to you here is that you take on board some of these little things and try and apply them in your life. If you feel that your self-talk is negative, try and replace it and try and get a positive self-action into
and
yourself.
remove yourself from it. So you're removing yourself from those self-thoughts. It's really important. And just to add on to that, I mean, it's important as well to communicate with people and actually release some of that, you know. And one of the other things we do is quite a bit is journaling, is writing stuff down, is taking that out of your head and putting it on a piece of paper. There's a powerful element to that. And we're all caught up on the telephones, the technologies, the iPads, you name it, the mobile phones, you name it. Whatever it is we're on it on a regular basis. Yeah. I do it, Declan does it, everyone around me does it, from small to large. Every single one of us, we're all at it.
And one thing we say is, ink it, don't think it. Yeah. So what we mean by ink it, don't think it, put it on the paper. So ink it, write it down. Don't be thinking or overthinking things the whole time in your mind, because overthinking things will create the stress in your body, in your mind, and then that will have an effect outwardly and inwardly.
And unplug. Just unplug, detox, get rid of it, because you're living somebody else's life instead of your own. Just detox, get rid of it. Just for 5-10 minutes, it makes all the difference in the world. We're all in the situation where we're doing it now, so it's time for people to kind of take on board a small bit of that. That's the positive. That's the positive you're going to take out of that.
So on that note, thank you so much. We really, really hope you took something from this video. If you have any questions, comments, queries, make sure and comment down below, or reach out to us, or you know, get in communication with us. Let us know how you're getting on, and we'd love to know how this video, you know, positively affected you and what you took from it. And make sure to take that, think of the lion, think of the gazelle, remove yourself from the situation, come back to your breath, shake out whatever negativity is going on for you, and replace it with something positive.
Very good, yeah. Thanks guys for listening, and really appreciate it. And if anything you do today, go away and write something positive down that has happened to you all day. It's a nice way to think.
Honest.